Grandad Ben was an old man. He had wispy grey hair, a walrus moustache, and smoked a smelly old pipe which puffed out smoke like a steam engine. He spent most of his time, feet in slippers, sitting in his rocking chair by the fire. Grandad Ben lived with his daughter, Kate, and his young grandson, Joe, who spent most of his time making a lot of noise. But this didn't bother Grandad Ben, because he was a bit deaf. He also had another problem, though. Recently, he'd started to forget things. Joe found this very annoying, especially when Grandad Ben's things, like his glasses, turned up in the strangest places, like under the cushion he'd just sat on. Grandad Ben didn't mean to forget about things. He just couldn't help it. What was strange was that Grandad Ben might forget where he'd put his glasses, but he could remember things from long ago, when he'd been a boy, as clearly as if they were yesterday. One day, Joe came home from school very excited. "I'm entering a competition," he told his mum. "We have to write about how it was to be young a long, long time ago." His mother smiled at him. "And what was it like?" she said. Joe just went, well, and then, The truth was, he didn't know. His mother looked at him. "I know somebody who does," she said. "Your Grandad Ben. You think he forgets everything, but you're wrong. I expect he'll be able to tell you about cobbled streets and gas lights, corner shops and horse-drawn trams, all the things from long ago." Joe suddenly felt rather sorry for his Grandad. "Grandad," he said, "I have to write a story for a competition. It's about life long ago, so I wondered if you'd help me and tell me about what it was like when you were a boy." Grandad Ben put down his paper and stared at Joe. He was surprised. After all, Joe hadn't asked him anything in a long time. He was very pleased. "I'll see what I can remember," he said. "Well, the thing I remember most about when I were a boy was..." And Grandad Ben went on to tell Joe about leaving school as a boy to go to work at the mill. He described the hum and throbbing noises of the machinery. He described how children clattered their wooden shoes on the stone streets and played shove-eight-me in the alleys. He told Joe about no end of interesting things and left nothing out. Joe was fascinated, and he was able to write a brilliant story. When he came rushing home with first prize, he said to his mother, "I was wrong about Grandad Ben. He might forget where his glasses are, but he remembers other things very well. I won first prize in competition because of him." Joe's mum smiled and then said, "Yes, which just goes to show that just because he's old and a bit forgetful doesn't mean that he's silly." In his armchair, Grandad Ben smiled and thought that this evening he'd get out his old war medals and tell his grandson about them. After he'd read his newspaper, that is. First of all, he had to find his glasses.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. And ears and eyes and mouth and nose. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. And ears and eyes and mouth and nose. Shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Knees and toes, knees and toes. Knees and toes, knees and toes. And ears and eyes and mouth and nose. Knees and toes, knees and toes. Toes, toes. Toes, toes. And ears and eyes and mouth and nose. Toes, toes. Ears and eyes and mouth and nose. And eyes and mouth
Jiffy,
Oh, yes.
what are you doing?
I'm looking for my missing shoe. I can't find it anywhere. If only I could remember where I left it.
Well, can you remember where you were when you took your shoes off?
Yes. Yeah, I came in from the garden and then I sat on the sofa, where Bonzo is now.
Oh, well, why don't you go and sit on the sofa again, and that might remind you what you did with your shoe.
Good idea. Right.
Bonzo, sorry to disturb you, but you have to move up. Jiffy needs to sit there. He's trying to remember what he did with his shoe.
Oh, hasn't he found it yet? Honestly, Jiffy.
All right. Thanks, Bonzo. Now, came in from the garden, sat on the sofa, and then... Bonzo, can you stop fidgeting? It making it ever so difficult to remember.
Sorry, Jiffy.
Where was I? Ah, yes, no. I took off my first shoe, and, what is the matter, Bonzo? You got ants in your pants?
I'm sorry, Jiffy, but this end of the sofa's really uncomfortable.
Well, please try and sit still. Then I took off the second shoe, the one that's missing, and, I'm trying to remember.
There's a shoe under this cushion.
I remember. I put the shoe underneath the cushion. Bonzo, you found my shoe.
Yeah, it was under the cushion.
Well, that was a funny place to leave your shoe.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Why did you put it under the cushion, Jiffy?
I can't remember.